Listen, all you New Yorkers.
Well, hello. Welcome to another week in my life vlog. This is going to be part one of an indefinite number of parts as I try to document what I'm doing for 2 weeks in New York and Portugal. While I'm traveling, I will be attempting to read some of the books off of my Asian Readathon TBR. As most of you know, the Asian Readathon is a month-long readathon that I started for the month of May because it is Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. But if I had a choice, it would have been any other month instead of May because this is also the busiest month of my year. This was printed yesterday and I didn't even have time to really finish my itinerary for next week, nor did I have any time to print my schedule for New York. But it's gonna be busy. And yet somehow I'm gonna try to read along the way. I put out a poll on Twitter and YouTube to ask which books you would rather have me cover on vlogs. And the number one choice is The Astonishing Color of Actor by Emily X.R. Pan. So I brought it with me on this trip and I've decided that I'm gonna save it for my flight to Portugal because this book is about the main character going on her own international trip to find herself. So I figured that it might be more fitting to read it while I'm there. For second place, the results were different for each poll. So on Twitter, second place was The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi, and on YouTube, second place was Girls of Paper and Fire. So I decided to bring both, but on my plane ride to New York, I did start on The Gilded Wolves because a lot of people had DNF'd the book saying that they found that the world building and the story didn't really make sense to them. So I figured that it might be more fitting for me to read it on the plane and just let myself be fully immersed in the story. Since I'm stuck on the plane for the whole time, I don't really have any escape to not finish this book. Unfortunately, since my plane ride was only an hour long, I only got to 100 pages in the book. Oh, and this bookmark was, oh shit, I lost my part. Okay, I was generally somewhere in 100 pages. I'll find it later. But just wanted to say that this bookmark was given to me by Jessie from Bow Ties and Books, and this book was given to me by Tasha from Her Nose Stuck in a Book. So thank you so much for sending me these lovely gifts. This is the book that I was most excited about to start for Asian Readathon because I really like heist stories and I also like reading about ensemble cast and more character-driven stories. So 100 pages in, my first impression is that I don't really care for it either way so far. Like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm right in the middle. I don't think it's as confusing as other people have said it is, but maybe I just think that because my brain has never comprehended world building in the first place, so I'm pretty much as equally lost as I am for any other fantasy book. What I do appreciate about this book is that it takes place in Paris, and I think that it would have been very easy to just stick to traditionally white European characters, but the cast is very diverse. The main characters are Filipino and Indian and I don't know, other ethnicities that I will discover as I read along. But already I'm seeing that the cultural diversity is very prominent for all types of different Asians too, which I appreciate. And it's very fitting for, you know, Asian Readathon. The Filipino character also deals with colorism, which I think is an interesting topic that isn't really discussed much in the Asian community, but is very much real. And one of the other characters is also autistic. So I think that there is a rich blend of characters in this story when it comes to the representation and the diversity, along with the themes of colonialism for the heist story as well. That being said, so far I'm not really attached to any of the characters or really care for them, and I think it's a tough act to follow when you read a fantastic heist story like Six of Crows, where the heist in that book wasn't even like a major thing until 300 pages, but the characters were so endearing and likable, whereas the characters so far in The Gilded Wolves are pretty much one note so far. I'm hoping that I will begin to like them more as I go along. They clearly have different kinds of relationships with each other and there's a lot of banter going on, but I'm not really resonating with the banter as much. I'm trying really hard not to compare it to Six of Crows, but it's not really even comparing it for the heist aspect, it's comparing it for the ensemble aspect of characters working together and having different roles. The banter is a bit cheesy and juvenile. I would compare the dialogue and the characterization to the characters from Renegades by Marissa Meyer. They pretty much match the same level of joking around, banter, and slightly juvenile but lighthearted dialogue. I'm realizing that's not really my thing for fantasy books, but I still want to keep an open mind as I read the rest of the book. I wish I had finished it on the plane though, because now I don't know how I'm going to be able to get to Girls of Paper and Fire. So that's my progress on the book so far. Let me tell you why I am in New York. This week I am attending a conference called 99U, which is a creativity / design conference hosted by Adobe. And Adobe is basically a company that has a monopoly on most of the prominent design programs that most people use, like Photoshop and Illustrator. The conference is actually tomorrow, but I'm here a day early because I was invited to a lunch by the director of Adobe, who invited a few other people from the industry as well. So it's gonna be a few hours of me trying to act like a normal, functional human being. And you might notice that I'm not wearing super baggy black clothes anymore. For this trip, for once in my goddamn life, I actually want to look nice. And not even because I'm trying to impress anyone, I just want to feel like I look good. So this is my attempt. I am slowly introducing more color to my wardrobe, as you can see by these green leaves. And I am also wearing an accessory. I usually don't wear any jewelry because I don't think I can pull it off, but I'm gonna try to because this video has been sponsored by Anna Luisa. They reached out to me asking if they could do some kind of partnership with me, and at first I was like, does my raggedy ass look like the type that would wear jewelry? The answer is still no. However, I took a look at their website and there were a few things that made me decide to actually go with it. The first is that all of their products are 100 recycled gold, so then that kind of makes me feel better about being more environmentally conscious, as if I have a conscience. And then the second reason is that a lot of their jewelry is actually really cute and is the style that one of my friends really likes. I actually decided to pick out jewelry to give to her when I visit her in Texas. So the first two things that I picked out for her were these earrings and this ring. As you can see, my ears are not pierced and my finger size is a lot smaller than hers. She's a size 8. So I really picked these out specifically for her because I knew that she would like them. These pearl drop earrings are in the shape of a cloud, and I just thought that they were really cute because usually I associate pearl earrings to be too like stuffy or formal, but I think the fact that these are dangling off of a cloud make it seem more contemporary. And there's 6 pearls in total, so I assume that's like 6 times the number of bougie points that you get. And then the next thing that I got for her is this stackable sun ring. She really likes simple rings, but I think that they have enough detail to kind of make them a bit more unique than the standard ring. So you can see details of the sun here, so you could be serving sun summoner looks like Alina Starkov from the Grisha trilogy. She may be a basic bitch, but I guarantee you that when the Netflix series comes out, she's gonna be aesthetic as fuck. And then lastly, the third piece that I got for her is actually this necklace that I'm wearing right now. I plan on wearing this while I'm in New York, but eventually when I see her in July, I will be gifting this to her as well. This is the gold horn necklace that obviously was meant to represent a horn, but when I saw it on the website, it gave me Sailor Moon vibes instead. So that was pretty much my reasoning for picking it. Melody also likes the Sailor Moon aesthetic too, so it's pretty much a win-win. So hopefully I did this fashion thing right. I don't know if I did, but we're gonna work with what we got. But if you're actually interested in this style of jewelry, I have a discount code in my description box for $10 off. So check this out if you are into this kind of stuff. If not, we shall proceed with the rest of this vlog. I'm gonna head out to lunch, but when I come back, I definitely wanna update you all about this terrible hotel that I was in last night. This hotel was the result of a very last minute booking because the original one that I was booked in was so terrible that I had to escape from it. I took some pictures and I have some stories, so I will update you next time I talk to the camera. But for now, let's head off to lunch. so full. You can't see it from this angle, but my pants are completely unzipped right now because I can't be choking my food baby over here, okay? I gotta let her breathe. I wanted to give some updates for tonight, mainly talk about what I did today and catch up on what happened last night, because I have a fucking story about the terrible hotel that I was in. First things first, books. I brought The Gilded Wolves with me throughout my day, and I was surprised to find that I actually have quite a bit of time interspersed throughout the day to actually read this book. Like, I'll be waiting in line to pick up my badge, or I'll be waiting for my Uber to come pick me up. I think my favorite thing to do is sitting in a restaurant, waiting for my food, and reading a book at my table. This is perfect for when I'm just dining out alone because I'm waiting for my food. I literally don't have anything else to do. So it feels like time well spent when I can just use that to read a book instead of refreshing the same thing over and over on my phone. Not related to the story at all, but I love it when the naked covers of books have some kind of symbol on it or some other kind of cover underneath it. So I think I read like almost 50 pages today. So far, still not really feeling any strongly about the book either way. It very much reminds me of the characters in Renegades, which I also didn't care for. But if you guys like Renegades, maybe this book is worth a shot. But then again, I don't even know because the world building and the whole heist, it's a lot, but I do appreciate the level of thought and detail that Roshani Chokshi is putting into these heists. It isn't really like Six of Crows. It's more like the Da Vinci Code because there's so much historical and cultural little contexts that are wrapped together in this heist plot. And that's more than I can say for Six of Crows because the heist is basically barely even there. And yet Six of Crows is so much better just because the characters and the dialogue are sharp. This is still kind of lacking. I still don't really see why I should care for any of these characters. I know that they have these certain personalities, but it kind of feels like you have a character and you have a few bullet points about their characteristics instead of anything deeper. But I'm still gonna trudge through it. I don't know why people DNF'd it because I know that those same people have finished tons of worse books. Just saying. That is my book update. Now let me tell you what the fuck happened last night. So I'm gonna share you a story about last night because I think people find entertainment in my suffering. The journey to New York was very smooth. Perhaps that is when I should have been suspicious, but everything was going well. I arrived to the airport early. I had just wrapped up some projects with Google. I had my passport. Didn't forget it this time. The plane ride was smooth. It was only an hour long. It actually even arrived to New York slightly earlier, and nobody sat next to me on the plane, so I had a row to myself and I could just space out, man spread, put my shit on the other seat. It was great. And then I got to my hotel. Just for context, I do not book my hotels whenever I go on a work trip because that is usually another person's responsibility. If I'm going on a shoot, the client is the person who books the hotels, and if I'm going to a conference, then our operations assistant within our own company does all of the logistics. They deal with catering for our food, they deal with booking the hotels, they deal with buying the flight tickets, getting the conference tickets, all of that stuff to just take care of you. We hired a new operations assistant earlier this year. First, she sent me a link to an Airbnb saying, "This looks nice," because she thought that I wanted an Airbnb. And I'm like, bitch, no, I want a hotel. Turns out another employee had requested an Airbnb and she got it mixed up. But it was fine. I just mentioned to her that I would prefer a hotel because I'm a bougie bitch. So she sent me a link to the hotel and she said this looked nice, and I just glanced at it, saw the pictures, and I looked up how far it was from the conference and it was walkable. So I said, yeah, sure. And maybe this was my fault as well. Maybe I should have checked more thoroughly instead of just putting blind faith in a universe. When I arrived to my hotel, right away when I stepped inside, I felt like there was something wrong. I didn't know what it was, but something just didn't feel right. I don't know if it was the tacky colors and carpet of the hotel. I don't know if it was the grungy 90s music blaring from the lobby. And then I roll my suitcase to the elevator, and right away I notice how tiny the elevator is. If I stand with my suitcase, that's basically the entire dimensions of the elevator. And it was extremely old. So when the elevator was moving up to my floor, it was creaking the whole time to the point where I thought it might fall at any second. And here's the real fucking kicker. I looked at the buttons and the numbers were fucking crooked all over the place. The button for L, which is lower floor, was upside down. So it was like a fucking Tetris shape. So I'm like, okay, this shit is kind of weird, but I'll still roll with it. I walked into my room, and the first thing that I saw was the bathroom. It had disgusting green wallpaper, and the whole space just felt really, really old, and I didn't even feel like it was clean either. Like, it was literally the standard of a cheap apartment, not a hotel. And I noticed that the Wi-Fi was extremely slow. Like, I would be trying to load just google.com, and the loader would take forever to even animate. So I'm looking around this room and I'm thinking, why does this hotel fucking suck? But then I also started thinking, you know, I am just being so ungrateful right now, okay? I've just been spoiled. I shouldn't be complaining. I should be grateful to have just accommodations in the first place, which is still true. But I couldn't help but wonder, is it just me who thinks this hotel is shitty? Or is it genuinely bad? Like, am I just being a snobby bitch? Or is it really terrible? I decided to look up the hotel, not the website, but just do a search on the hotel. And then I saw that it has an average rating of 2 stars on Yelp. And the recent reviews were talking about, yes, it has extremely slow Wi-Fi, but other than that, it is extremely untidy. A lot of people found dead bugs in their bathroom. A lot of people found mice in their rooms. And this one person even got bed bugs when she stayed there. So I was like, bitch. I grabbed my suitcase and I fucking slide it away from the bed as far away as possible, and I don't touch anything. I checked under my bed to see if there were any bugs or dead mice laying around, which is a totally normal thing to do when you're in a hotel. When I first entered the room, I was not happy with it, but I was gonna tough it out anyway because I figured that I should just be grateful for it. But then after reading those reviews, I just knew I needed to say something. So I messaged the operations team, including that assistant, and I very politely was like, hey, hello? Hey, chief? Yeah, this ain't it. Just kidding. But I was very polite about it. And I said, would it be possible to switch to another hotel? Here are all the reviews saying all this kind of stuff. And if it's not possible, I'll tough it out. But I just want to know if it's possible. Please. Fortunately, the assistant apologized and looked for another hotel for me, but it took a long time for her to do that because I think a lot of factors made it complicated, like the pricing and the location. So I just went out to eat sushi that night because I was hangry after my flight. I went ahead and bought $40 sushi as reparations for this kind of bullshit, and then I felt better. So she booked me a new hotel. It's more of like an informal style of hotel, and it looks kind of like a studio apartment, but the difference in cleanliness is drastic. Like, just walking into this place, even though it's smaller, I could tell that everything is up to date and everything is clean, and I just feel so much better sleeping in this environment. I really am not picky when it comes to where I sleep during a trip. My bare minimum is just not getting bed bugs or seeing mice. That's it. So yeah, that's the story of how our assistant did me so fucking dirty and I almost slept with rats. And then during lunch, when I was talking to the other designers, shit number 2 hit the fan. The other designers and I were talking, and then they mentioned registering for the specific sessions that they wanted to go to for the conference. And on the outside, I said, oh, do you think that there are some sessions where you can just walk in? But on the inside, I thought, You're supposed to fucking register for these sessions? Were we supposed to do that beforehand? Because I did not. I did not receive a single email from the conference talking shit about registering for anything beforehand. So I assumed that it was just like a walk-in thing. I saw their schedule on the website with all the options for the classes and the workshops, but there was no link to sign up for it. Apparently, they email you the link. So I spent the whole lunch and the whole networking event eternally thinking, I'm going to a conference where I didn't sign up for anything. That's like going to fucking college and you didn't even sign up for any classes. So I'm like, bro, what the fuck is going on? And I snuck out to the lobby and I checked my phone. I checked through my inbox. Again, there were no emails at all. I ended up emailing the conference and saying, hey, I couldn't sign up for any classes at all. I didn't even know you could sign up. Was there supposed to be an email? Because I didn't get shit. And then they got back to me. And it turns out that even though I had used my actual email when I registered and got that confirmation email, the billing address, which is where they send all of their information to, was different. I'm very anxious the entire day until it's finally 6 p.m. when we can go to the opening party and do the early registration. I get in the long ass line, and when I'm finally there, I tell them my situation, that I never got an email, and then it turns out that the reason why the billing email address was different is because there was a typo in it. So all this time when they were sending important information, it was to the wrong email that was missing one letter. So I'm like, God fucking damn it. Of course a day can't go by without me pulling a dumb bitch move. Here's the thing though, I'm actually not sure who made the typo, because when we were registering for the conference, the assistant had started out filling the form for me, and then halfway through I offered to fill out the rest of the information. And I don't remember if I had typed in that billing address or if she did. All I can say is that I have never misspelled my own email address before because I have typed it over and over so many times. But who the fuck knows anymore? Honestly, I'm just gonna take the L and say that it's my fault. Suffice to say, I've had 2 bad nights in a row because of the hotel mishap and because of the lack of classes that I signed up for. I did end up getting to sign up for the classes and workshops that were available. Some of them were not my first choice. So that was a big bummer for me. That pretty much sums up my 2 messy nights in New York so far. Who knows what fucking terrible things will happen tomorrow, but that's the joy of life, right? You never know what you're gonna get. They gave me a goodie bag though, which is cool. The theme for this year's conference is I have seen the future. But judging on the past 2 nights, that shit ain't fucking true. And tomorrow is gonna be the official day of the conference. Jesus, take the wheel. I hope that I don't get into any more dumb bitch nonsense, but you know me, serving that Alina Starkov goodness. If you made it this far in the vlog, thank you for joining me in this journey. And by now you probably know how messy I am of a person. I don't know, man. I try not to be messy, okay? I try to be fucking competent for once in my goddamn life. But here we are. Anyway, good night.
More than I can say, do it to me, can say, more than I can say, do it to me, can say, more than I can say, do it to me, can say, more than I can say, do it to me, can say, more than I can say, do it to me, can say, more than I can say, do it to me, can say, love so bad, 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 love so bad.
Hello, I am back from a full day of the conference and I'm tired, but what else is new? I honestly feel like every day I age at least 10 years. I just want to give a bookish update first. I tried to read a little bit of The Gilded Wolves throughout the day, like when I was in line and when I was waiting for the Uber, but I think I only got up to like 20 pages. So I'm almost to the halfway point of the book, but I'm slowly trudging through. I can tell that this author is Asian and she really cares about cultural diversity because she has incorporated so many surprising themes so naturally, like colonialism, colorism, and in the pages I read just now, she even included cultural appropriation. But the way that she writes it, she's not revolving the whole story around it. She's just including these little details, and I feel like that makes it even better. It's nice when the entire story isn't about the topic of race, but you include these little microaggressions in your day-to-day life because, I mean, that's just how it is. It's an everyday kind of thing. There's this one part where the characters have to dress up in specific kinds of roles in order to infiltrate a place, as you see in every heist plot ever. But there was a twist where the roles that they played felt like they kind of washed away their own identity or went against what they identified as. Like, for example, one of the characters is Jewish and she regularly faces anti-Semitism, and she has to play the role of someone who is in a position of power that is typically anti-Semitic. And there's a Filipino character who is light-skinned and deals with colorism, who was forced to play in the role of a Chinese character. He found that offensive because, you know, it's basically saying that you're all the same. You're used to seeing characters swap roles and put on different kinds of acts to play other types of people, but this one puts in a sociological twist where it's making them confront their own cultural identities. I thought that was interesting. That being said, I still don't give a shit about the characters or the relationships either way. There's a romantic relationship that is heavily hinted at a lot. This one character and this other character had one night together and it was a mistake, and they are gonna try to never do that again and just be normal. And so this fact that they're trying to ignore that one night is referenced over and over again throughout the book to try to convince you that there's sexual tension between them and this will they, won't they dynamic. And usually I love those kinds of dynamics where characters have to hold back their feelings. Like, I love seeing characters pent up, but this relationship just wasn't doing it for me. And I realized it was because despite us being told that they have sexual tension with each other and they're probably going to be the main couple, we aren't really given any reason to want them to be together. We don't know if they challenge each other. We don't know if they make each other better people. You could say that they work well together, but I mean, when you're in a heist, you work well with everyone on the team. So I don't really see any difference between those two characters interacting with each other and how they've interacted with everyone else in the main cast. I think all of their relationships feel quite arbitrary because you're being told what they are and you're not being shown. I want to be able to ship two characters together because I genuinely think that they are great together, not because they just happen to be the two main characters. I still don't know why they're even together, how they became friends, why they even care for each other. I'm hoping I find out as I go along, but so far as I'm trudging along, not really getting anything, therefore don't really have any reason to care. So basically, while I appreciate the approach to diversity, I still don't think that's enough for me to really be attached to the characters or relationships. So that's about it for the book updates. As for the conference update, I went to the first day of the conference. They had a bunch of speakers talk for like 15 to 30 minutes. Out of all of the speakers from this morning, the one takeaway that I want to share is from the first speaker, Dr. Vivian Ming, who is a neuroscientist who has created these AI systems that help people with bipolar disorder and diabetes. There was a quote that she said that kind of resonated with me, where she said that being more creative doesn't do anything if you don't speak up for what you believe in. That quote stuck to me because I think as someone who comes from an advertising background and is also a YouTuber doing sponsorships, I think that it's important to make that distinction, that you could be doing things that are considered to be creative, but if it doesn't come from an authentic place, or if you're not doing it because you like it or you don't believe in it, then you're not actually being creative. You're just selling something, which, you know, is fine if you just want to get your coin. But I think that if you want to be a truly creative person, it's important for you to really evaluate what you actually believe in and pursue those things in creativity as well, and not just for a job. There was another speaker called Kyle T. Webster, who you saw in that one clip where he's just lying on the stage. He was doing that to prove a point that boredom is kind of a necessary thing to let your brain wander and explore and kind of be able to solve problems from there. It's pretty much why we always get our best ideas when we're in the shower or right before we're going to bed, because we are not preoccupied thinking about something. We're letting our brains wander, and that's how we reach to those ideas and become more creative. And that kind of made me realize that my brain is always on the go, and I think I rarely ever take time to just relax and sit down and let my brain wander. I don't do that at all. I actually feel very antsy if I end up doing that, because I feel like I constantly need to be productive. After that, we had open studio night, which is when studios around New York opened up their doors to let conference members visit their offices. I restricted myself to just one studio, and that was WeWork. I went to their headquarters and we got to chat a little bit with the creative directors. They also brought us over to their own meditation room, so we got to meditate for 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes that I meditated were the most relaxed that I've been this entire year. And then I realized that I am pretty much always feeling tired or lazy or stressed. I don't remember the last time I felt at peace or content or feeling any positive emotion. Even though I'm in New York trying to attend this conference and having a good time, I have so many thoughts racing in my mind about all the other things that I need to do. First of all, I still need to book my hotel for New York when I come back from Portugal. I still need to finish my itinerary for Portugal. I need to look up restaurants and things to do when I meet up with booktubers in New York later this week. So not only am I making plans for work, I'm also making plans for my vacation time and social time. And all of it really doesn't feel like relaxing. It's just me constantly using my brain 100% of the time. And basically what I'm realizing is I think I feel tired because I'm extremely burnt out, but I don't know how to relax. I'm just reflecting and realizing that I need to somehow find space and time for myself, because I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm a hot mess. There's no moral to this story. I'm just kind of rambling about something that I've realized about myself, which is that I basically have no fucking chill. And I think I'm gonna end this vlog and just do like a part 2 for the next 2 days, because I can already tell that this vlog is getting too long. So this will be the end of part 1. In part 2, which will be tomorrow and the day after that, I will be showing the rest of my conference and me hanging out with some booktubers like Emma from Emma Books, Nikki from XO Nikki, and Jocelyn from Yogi with a Book. If you've made it this far, thanks for hearing me ramble. I don't know, I just don't have any fucking chill. Clearly, I just need to turn the camera off and then go to bed as early as I can and just try to get as much sleep as I can and hopefully restore my energy and brain cells. Because as you know, there's very little of it left. So, goodbye.